What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Planet Coaster. This is episode 48 now on the series. What I wanted to do today is hop back on our first park that we made here called Paradise and just sort of take a little trip down memory lane. Now, if this doesn't look familiar to you, that means you're probably pretty new here, so if you haven't already, I highly suggest you check out the link in the description. You can find the link to the series playlist there and catch up on any previous episode that you may have missed. Episodes 1 through 30 we're done here at this park, Paradise. Now, with the way things have been going lately, I'm assuming that you have plenty of free time to binge watch a couple of episodes of Planet Coaster. Now, with that being said, we also have a new series here on the channel on Thief Simulator, and it's really shaping up to be one of my favorite series that we've done so far. So if you haven't checked that out, there will be a link to it up in the top right of the screen right about now. Definitely check that one out. It's going to be a fun one. So let's get right into things. Today, what I want to do here on Paradise is sort of just touch on everything that's inside of the park, maybe ride a couple rides. I don't think I'm going to do all of the rides in one episode, but we might just try it. We might attempt to get that taken care of. So we'll start things off over here at the front entrance. Now, it's very basic. This is one of the smaller front entrances that you can get. It's just a pre-built entrance, nothing too crazy, but it does have the perfect theme for this park, which is, of course, Paradise, being pirate themed, sort of tropical-esque. Now, right through the entrance to the right, of course, we have an information booth. We also have this nice little food block here, or concession stand, I guess you could call it. Behind both of these buildings, we of course have a staff room for our vendors, as well as 2 bathrooms in either side. I think we'll work our way counterclockwise around the park because this side has more of the facilities and the other side has more of the rides and attractions. So moving on, behind our first food block here, we have the mall, which we did an entire episode on, I believe. And this place has everything. We got Gulpy Rex in here, having a grand old time. We got Hats Fantastic. Basically, every shop you could want in a mall we have here. We have a quote-unquote Orange Julius over here, which is actually just Pip Shot Smoothie. We got a churro stand. I mean, seriously, guys, it's got everything you could ever want in here. Tiki Cheeky, just a water shop. Now, just across the way from the mall, we have our first hotel right here. This is a 2G hotel. I made these a very, very long time ago, these blueprints, and to be honest, they don't look terrible. Now, someone did recommend that I change the color of at least one of them, and I did want to do that at first, but I couldn't really figure out any other color scheme that works with the materials that we chose. But all in all, I think it's a pretty spectacular building, if I do say so myself. Now, over here at these Adobe buildings, this is where we decided to place down our restaurant. Through the first building over here on the right, this is the exit path here for the 2G chairlift that you can see right here. It also serves as an entrance path for our security officers. This is their sort of station right here, which used to be in a different spot, but kind of had to fill a void out here, so I figured we might as well place it down right here. Right over here, we have quite a bit of scenery, a couple of pirate-themed, sort of Western-themed stuff over here. This building here is our restaurant, Restaurant 32. That's just a standard name. It didn't make us very much money at first, but things have really been picking up now. If you guys didn't notice already, we have $1.4 million in the park. We're making $72,000 on rides and tickets, and the chairlift did just close down, but it does give you guys a good look at the entrance, or I guess right now it's being used as the exit path for the chairlift, and that just snakes right through the building onto the backside right up to here. Next to that, we have another hotel. This one doesn't perform as well as the other, but it doesn't lose any money. So we have 2 hotels here in the park, and I believe we only have 15 rooms per hotel, but that keeps our prestige pretty dang high, and people are willing to pay a little bit more for that reason. So the first ride that we have out in this corner of the park is, of course, the Tornado. This is the only wooden coaster I think that we have in the park. And of course, it's been so long since I've been on this save, I don't really remember a whole lot about it, but it's not a terrible coaster, but as you can see, the queue is fairly empty. We don't get too many visitors over here trying to ride this thing. I don't even remember what this thing's all about. Some people are saying that it's too intense. Let's get in the front seat view here. Let's go for a little ride. And away we go up the chain lift. And the first drop, I don't remember being very crazy. It's steep, but it's not very long. And then you get tons of speed. Go around a left helix, I think. Or was that a right helix? Or is it two left? It doesn't matter. It's not important. What is important is the fact that the first drop propels you throughout the entire rest of the track. So you kind of have to do that with wooden coasters. And then we come back around here, go up and around. This is just kind of a time killer right here. Up and over a little bump section there, into a brake section, around the bend, and back into the station. So not a bad coaster by any means. We have a prestige of 1013 on that one, and every ride in the park should have a Q scenery rating, especially the coasters, of at least 100%. So that was the Tornado. Moving on to the left over here, we have the Acrobat. This is one of the coasters that I'm not really proud of necessarily because it never really performed all that well. I'll try to get a decent aerial view of it. It's just a little crazy. It doesn't really have any rhyme or reason to it. It's got a bunch of inversions in it that don't really make a lot of sense. But with that being said, let's go ahead and ride the sucker. And we're off. So it does have a LSM block holding section, I believe is what it's called. So you stay here for 5 seconds or so, and then all of a sudden you blast off, go straight vertical here, and up and over a really, really sharp turn. Now around this big loop here, I don't remember what this one's called. I think it's a demonic loop. Out the backside, up and over this big archway right here. Lose a little bit of speed, but you gain it back. And through a full 360-degree loop. A little slow at the top there. Up and over the initial section of the track with a little boost there. Around another loop. Some tight corners here. I'm surprised the rating on this is so good because we have those tight corners where the G-forces are pretty intense. And then a nice big drop back into the station. This is where it got really weird. I should have just had collisions turned off and remade that so it's a little bit more gradual, but it's alright. So I could work my way onto the inside of the park, but I think I'm going to do the outside stuff first and then just kind of make my way back around and cover all the flat rides, maybe. I'm not going to ride all the flat rides. I'll just kind of show you guys what flat rides we have here in the park. So the next ride that we have is another coaster. This one's really, really different. We actually ended up calling this one the Pelican, even though it is very clearly a stork on the top of the car. I have no idea why I called it the Pelican. I'm not the brightest star in the sky. We have a prestige of 1111 on this one. I don't think I talked about the prestige on the Acrobat. That's a 997 on there. Could use some work. And let's just hop right in here on the Pelican stork, and we'll see what this thing is all about. So huge climb here right out of the gate, all the way up to the top, and then I believe there's a holding section here. Maybe not for the first car. Pretty much straight down, as straight down as we can go. Might only be 60 degrees, and then we have pretty big archways. It's kind of just a big circle, or a big oval, I guess. Up the side of the mountain over here, and to the top again. Another chain lift all the way down again, around this mountain pass. Looking good here, through a tree, you know, sort of realistic. And this is its final descent here. We got a couple of brake sections. I think this is a block section right here. So you just kind of chill up at this top part until the other train leaves the station, and then you kind of glide on in just with gravity. That one really didn't turn out too badly. So in between the Pelican and the Acrobat, we have this path right here. This goes all the way back to the 2G train. This thing is pretty awesome. This is one of the stations. So you can kind of see its path. It basically snakes through the mountain. And over here is where it gets really, really crazy. I think we have 4, maybe 5 rides that go through this massive, massive mountain right here. Now, I'm not going to ride this one. I think I have a full ride through in the episode where we built the 2G train. So if you are curious about that one, it just takes a really long time. Just go back and watch that episode. Moving inside of the mountain, this is where it got a little interesting. We had this big open space here, and I didn't really know what to do with it in the center of the mountain. We kind of just built a big oval for a mountain shape. So I thought, you know, maybe it's a good idea to try to put a queue in here and then just hook it up to a ride later on. So that's exactly what we did. We have the Cascade, I believe is what it's formally called. It's half coaster, half water ride. And the queue for this thing got a little out of hand. It's not exactly realistic, but it does look really freaking cool. So We ended up just sticking with that. All right, here we go. This is the first lift. Oh my god, I would do that. This is the first chain lift going through the mountain. It should have plenty of lights in here, so we should be able to see everything. We have just a nice little sort of W shape on the backside of the mountain here. Goes up, loses a lot of speed, and then just slowly drops into a water trough right here. This part, very, very boring. I'm just gonna sort of skip through that. Now we're back on the coaster track, and we're gonna go downhill a little bit around the corner here and into the first splash zone. That is, of course, where everyone gets drenched. Then right here we have just another little rolly bit. You lose a little bit of speed at the top of the hills, and then you gain it back, and so on and so forth. Up and over, and back down. People really seem to like those hilly sections for whatever reason. Up a small little chain lift here. Back onto some track. And this part is very calm, but the cool part about it is that it goes right over top of the raging river right down here. There's probably no boats going right now, but that's sort of a raft ride there. We'll get into that here in a little bit. Down this part, and then back up another chain lift. This is a huge, huge drop right here. Up to the top. This is about the highest point of the entire ride here. We have this little snaky section, little S section, curves around the backside of the mountain, and then this is that drop I was talking about. It is massive. All the way down, right over the queue, in through a big splash zone, and immediately back up another chain lift. Up at the top of this one, it doesn't do anything crazy, just sort of drops you into another trough, and you kind of make your way around the other side of the mountain here. This is where the boats start to bunch up a little bit. They get a little closer in proximity. We got another drop right here into the final splash zone. You carry a lot of speed right into another water trough. Around the corner here. Up a small lift, back onto a regular section of track. Up another lift. And this is the final descent back into the station. And you just ram right into the other one right in front of you. So that is the splash zone, is what we ended up calling that one. Now, if we keep making our way around this path here, there is the next ride that I want to check out that is very, very cool. Pit stop over here. We just have a little small concession stand, nothing too crazy. Just in case people haven't had enough food from the entrance, they can get their fill out here. Up to the top here, this is the raging river. Of course, there's no boat up here. I kind of was hoping there'd be a boat. Okay, so new people should be getting on, and we should head on out. So we have a pretty big drop. I don't think this is the best camera view for this, to be honest. Let's try interest-based. That's a little bit better. Some guest facing. Now this ride is very, very slow, so I'll probably end up fast forwarding through most of it. We have a couple of pillars that are kind of coming through the bottom of the mountain, which is interesting. Up through here, you saw a little bit of the 2G train right there. Down through the mountain. This is gonna be a little frame ratey, isn't it? But anyways, you guys probably get the gist of this. I don't want to take you around the entire ride because it's really the same thing over and over and over. You have a hill, and then you have a drop, and then you get wet, and then so on and so forth. It's pretty basic. You guys have probably been on plenty of those rides. And moving on to the left here, there's that concession stand that we went over a little bit ago. The first one we have here is the bumper cars, of course. We called these Bumpin' Uglies. Nothing really that crazy about them, but they are 2G colors, of course. Over here, we have a ride that literally nobody ever rides called the OP, the Overpowered. I tried to make it as cool as I possibly could, added in like these splash rings and stuff in there, so you know, it's sort of a water ride type of thing, and people still don't want to ride it for whatever reason. The Prestige is pretty bad, even for a classic, but I figured some people would want to get on it. Over here, we have our next coaster. This is the Stinger. It is our first inverted coaster, I believe, or upside down coaster. I don't really know the proper terminology for this stuff, but let's just hop right on here. This is the first descent. I think seat view is probably going to be the best here. Here we go, first drop, up and over. This whole ride, it's gonna be pretty loud. This whole ride is over a pond where we also have a Kraken down below. I'll show you guys more of the Kraken here a little later on. We have 2 pretzel loops in total on this coaster. Down the second drop here, gain a little bit of speed. This one really turned out pretty dang good, especially with all of these sort of little hills and wavy sections. I'm pretty proud of this one. We have our next little wavy section right here around another turn. It's pretty basic. Like, the idea is very basic. We have 2 inversions, and the rest of it is just wavy bits. Up and around, looking good. And back into the station. This is the block section, actually. So, behind the Stinger, oh, sorry, we have a Prestige of 1315 on the Stinger. I guess I don't have to mention the Prestige on all of them. Maybe some of you are curious, but behind the Stinger over here, we, of course, have the Sundial. This is a ride that you can't not put in a park. Now, if you notice up at the top, it does go straight through part of the track for the Stinger. We just don't pay any attention to that whatsoever. And then over here, of course, we have the Kraken attacking the pirate ship that I mentioned earlier. This thing is absolutely terrifying, but it's such a cool scenery piece. I don't know why I haven't done this in our new park. This thing turned out really well. I'm super happy with this area. Now over here we have a couple of pirate scenes fighting some redcoats, real Pirates of the Caribbean stuff over here. And over here is the second station, or I guess the last station for the 2G train. All right, moving on to the left of the Stinger over here, we have Captain Salt, which if people were riding it, you would see it also on its backswing clips right through the track on the Stinger. Kind of a cool ride. Prestige not doing so hot right now because it's super old. That'll of course change once it reaches the classic status. Sorry if I'm going a little fast too. I really do want to try to cover the entire park in one episode, and I don't want it to be half an hour, 45 minutes long. So with that in mind, we have our next ride here. This is the Phoenix. This is one of the last coasters, I believe, that we made in the park. We have a Prestige of 1192. It is established. That lets you know that it's fairly new. Let's hop in the ride camera. This is the first climb here up to the top, and this drop is crazy. You literally just stop right here and you're just looking down, facing death, looking him straight in the eyes, and then all of a sudden you drop. And this thing is awesome. I don't know if I would have the nuts to go on this thing in real life, but it's pretty basic design over here too. Pretty much just a straight drop, and the whole rest of the ride is pretty much just using your initial velocity. Up and around a couple of horseshoe bends. Nothing too crazy. Same thing over here, and down the backside we go up and over the small little mountain pass. Back down, gain a little bit more speed, up and over the go-kart track, which is called the Autobahn. And here, this is the final descent. Just wanted to do something weird at the end, so I kind of have just a circle, and then back into the station over top of the queue path. Moving on behind the Phoenix, we of course have another little concession stand area. It's not very popular. Directly behind the queue for the Phoenix, we have, of course, the Autobahn, which is just go-karts. I'm not gonna ride these, but I will show you guys the track a little bit. We got one go-kart still making its way around. I don't know why I have it set on a single lap, and there's always whoever finishes first, I guess, gets like a parade lap, like a victory lap. So this must have been whoever came in first. And then they come all the way down underneath the water trough here for El Trunco. So that is the Autobahn. Now what I just mentioned is El Trunco. This is a Spanish word meaning literally the trunk, or the tree, I guess, the tree trunk, which is totally fitting because, of course, on a log ride, you are in a fake tree trunk. If it were real, that would be cool, but I don't think any of them are real trunks. This is another ride that I'm not going to actually ride either, but it sort of snakes around here. This is the last ride that we added into the mountain. I think that about does it for the outside over here. Moving on over here, we have the Charaplane. This was a suggestion made to me by Planet Coaster fan Jacob. I haven't seen any comments from him in a while, but Jacob, thank you for the suggestion. That was a very, very good suggestion out here. Moving on to the left a little bit more, we have Super High. This is the second sort of space shot ride that we added in the park. Not gonna ride this one, but it is the second tallest one. Up next we have the first coaster we ever made with a fantastic name, Scoop-de-Loop-de-Hoop-de. No idea what it means, but it sounds pretty good. Rolls off the tongue. Pretty low prestige on this one. I would ride it, but I think you guys can sort of get the gist from just looking at it. It's fairly short. It's really meant for kids and families and people that aren't really that ballsy to go on some of these other coasters that we have. And to the left of Scoop-de-Loop-de-Hoop-de, we have the Kamikaze. The name probably makes sense. We sort of got this Rising Sun Japan thing going on. I don't know if that's insensitive of me to say, so I'm just gonna move right along here. Now we can start working our way through the center of the park. So over here we have another little concession stand area. As you guys can see, this area of the park is very densely populated with people. And that's mainly because of Quick Draw back here. You guys have probably seen Quick Draw if you've ever played Planet Coaster. It is a blueprint ride that you can add in literally anywhere. Why is no one actually riding it? There we go. Okay, I just unchecked don't block the station, and that seems to have helped. I'm gonna take that back down to 5 seconds. Very interesting. I didn't realize no one was riding that. But everyone and their mom loves that ride for whatever reason. It does have a really high prestige, and we're able to charge like an arm and a leg for it. We're currently charging $37 for it. It has a prestige of $13.09. It is now in the classic stage. Over here, this is one of the original rides that we added in the park, Teabags, because who doesn't love getting teabagged, am I right? Back over here across from the Tornado, we have the Insanity. I think it's actually just called Insanity, not the Insanity. There you go. You can kind of see it a little bit. That's basically all it does. This ride used to be really popular when we first dropped it in here. It's only got a prestige of 714, which isn't bad, but it's not the best ride ever. Up next, we have another swinging area. This is kind of the swing side of the park, if you guys hadn't realized that. Aside from the Chairplane over there, that's technically a swing as well. This is Hammer Time. The original name was like Hammer Swing or something, and I was like, it works, but it's not as good as Hammer Time. So, that one, pretty popular still. This ride over here, Sundance, is surprisingly gaining popularity because it's absolutely massive. You're attached to just a few little swings right here. They're like a bench swing, and you go all the way up to the top and you just spin around. And then we got this dude up here sunbathing it up, the Planet Coaster guy. Is his name's King Coaster. We have King Coaster up here sunbathing. Moving right along, we have the Circle of Death, which is a terrible ride. I don't even know why we decided to put it in here. The one that we had originally was even worse, but I guess some people are lining up for it. Kind of makes sense. I mean, we have 10,000 people in the park. They should probably go somewhere. Also, we're up to 1.5 million now instead of 1.3 or 4 or whatever we were at originally. Now back here, this is the second station, or the final station, I guess, for the 2G chairlift. To the left of that, we then have Pathos. This one is crazy. It spins you around a whole lot. We have plenty of vomit over here once the ride finishes up, but we also have a ton of janitors to take care of that for us. Over here, we have everyone's favorite ride, and that is the kickflip. Now this is a ride that is in literally every single theme park, every single fair, every single pop-up little carnival that you could possibly find across the US anyways. Everyone always goes on this ride. I have seen it literally everywhere, and that shows because the prestige on this thing is a 1271 for a flat ride. That's pretty freaking high. Up next, we have our most ridden coaster, which is called Thunder. I don't even know what to say about this thing, you guys. It's absolutely wild. Let's just get right in here and we'll see what this thing's all about. All right, so right off the bat, we have some drive tires that just sort of take you out of the station nice and peacefully. Nothing too crazy about that. But then you hit these new rollers and you just straight launch straight up to the top here. And then you got a nice free fall down around the backside of kickflip, up through a 360-degree loop, or actually I think that's just a regular loop, not a 360. We then have the Cobra loop, I think is what this part is called. Down the backside of that, up and over, around the backside of the kickflip yet again. Up and down around this bit to the left here. Lots of G-force through there, but people don't seem to care very much. And down the backside, this is the final loop. I think this is a butterfly inversion. Maybe not. I don't actually remember what any of the inversions are called. slows you down enough to come through the backside and block section, of course, then it drops you back down into the station. So that is the Thunder. Prestige on that one's not terrific, but it's, again, our most ridden coaster at an 1160. Pretty solid. Moving on over here, we have one of the more recent rides that we added in the park, the Discriminator 5000. Now, it looks like it either just broke down or just got inspected, but this thing fits so many people, and it is the tallest space shot ride that we have. Oh, you know what? I totally skipped a ride. 420 Blaze It. This is the first weed joke that we ever made here on the channel, I think. And it's a pretty good little ride. I mean, it's nothing too crazy, but it fits in just this tiny little area of the park. It was part of the initial design anyways, and it is the shortest of the space shot rides that we have in the park. I don't know if I'm missing anything else or not. I think I covered everything. If I didn't cover everything, or if you guys wish I would have ridden more things, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this park, but it definitely turned out pretty good for the first park that we ever did. And if it weren't for your guys' suggestions on rides to add or things to change, it probably would have turned out looking a lot worse than this. So thank you guys so much for every suggestion that you gave. Now, I think this goes without saying, but I do feel as though the Planet Coaster series is starting to come to an end. I know a lot of people really enjoyed this series. I personally really enjoyed this series at the very beginning, but I do like to sort of cycle through games about once every 30 days, about once a month, right? Now, this series has been going on for 48 episodes now, and the butthurt is kind of setting in. It starts to get a little repetitive, and it's just not near as fun for me to play anymore. Now, I hope you guys understand that. We could, of course, come back to it later on, maybe do some challenges on here, or just do a sandbox creative type of build thing. I don't know. But for the time being, I do think I'm going to start sort of straying away from Planet Coaster and making a couple of new series here on the channel. So if you guys are excited for that, be sure to drop a like on this video or leave me a comment with any suggestion of games that you want me to play next. But with that being said, I do think I'm going to wind things down here. Now, if you guys did enjoy, please leave a like, leave a comment, help support the dream by smashing that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Peace.